so many new pieces to this IU football team.
To me, that's going to set the tone on how you get ready for games on Saturday in the fall.
I would put that Indiana room up against anybody else in the conference, and that's something that we typically don't even come close to saying.
If you want to get total sickos committee about it, there's a position battle at long snapper too.
This is the Hoosier Huddle Podcast, part of the College Huddle Podcast Network.
All right, welcome back to the Hoosier Huddle Podcast. I'm Sammy Jacobs. Along with me is T.J. Inman. Apparently, it's hat day here at the Hoosier Huddle Podcast. It's hats for us. We're not giving away hats, although that would be cool. Anyway, spring football is right around the corner. Rumor has it that spring practice will start, I think, March 26th, that Thursday after spring break, which makes sense. Indiana's season ended January, what was it, the 20th, 19th? It all 19th. Blurred together. The 19th, you saw people in the combine push their workouts back till April 1st pro day because of that. And so I would assume that IU moved everything back a couple weeks so guys could recover, and we'll see. So welcome back, Indiana football. We have missed you. TJ, how are you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, the hat is an acknowledgement that my hair is leaving my head at an alarming rate, and we had to make a call as far as what wouldn't look too bad. So I am doing very well. Excited to talk about the reigning national champions, Indiana Hoosiers. That's not going to get old to say ever.
No, defending, reigning, 2025, 2026, whatever branding had it, national champions in football, Indiana football Hoosiers will never, ever get old. But let's talk about what's new with Indiana football. TJ, there have been a couple staff changes. You bring back Tino Sinceri after Chandler Whitmer goes to the NFL as quarterback coach with the Buccaneers. I thought he would end up with the Raiders. And then you have Derek Owings goes to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the hidden storylines I want to talk about too.
Yep.
Derek Owings goes to Tennessee and they bring in a new football strength staff too. And it was so key to that championship run because Indiana just didn't get mentally or physically tired, it looked like. And it played a big role. So it'll be interesting to see how that worked. It's Tyson Brown comes over. He did work briefly at Elon with Coach Sig, so he knows him. But he was at Mississippi State for the last 2 seasons as head strength and conditioning coach. And then he was prior to that with Washington State University out in Pullman, Washington. So that's what's new outside the transfer portal additions. We have started our previews as well, position previews. Jamie Jordan has that at the IU Reactionary as well. So those have gone out and free for everybody to read. Let's go to biggest storylines heading into spring football, TJ. What is your number one storyline that's not defending champions?
I think that the most important thing for Indiana to do is going to be figuring out how to capture the same urgency and attention to detail that, kind of propelled you to the success you had in last season. It's something that we've already heard Coach Signetti talk about, is turning that page, right? And just basically living up to the standard that has now been set. And I think if you listen to guys like Nick Saban or Kirby Smart, even at Ohio State, places that win consistently and coaches that win consistently, they talk about every team needing to be kind of a team of their own, where they need to understand last year's team accomplished these things. We haven't accomplished anything ourselves yet. And that starts with the off-season workouts. That starts with spring football. We're not going to be able to see that on the field. It's not something that's going to show up as a flashing red light that, they're complacent. They're complacent. It's not going to show up for us. The coaches, they'll probably see it, right? I mean, Signetti doesn't miss anything. He'll see it if it's happening, but
it's also not something you're going to notice in this spring either.
No, the tangible on-field things. The thing that I'm worried is not the right word, but I think paying attention to is some of the position groups that Indiana needs new bodies to step in. And I think that there's some potential for that in the spring. And there's also some groups like tight end that are ones to watch because of who's not available. That room is basically returning no one that has played any type of meaningful football. And it's a position that IU has relied on as a pass catcher, as a blocker, and occasionally last season as a fullback, with Robbie Nowakowski getting some goal line touches. So I think that how the coaching staff chooses to approach some of those positions that are a bit up in the air as far as who's going to play, like second and third cornerback behind Jamari Sharp, that's one that we aren't sure how that's going to play out. Some exciting additions there and some exciting young talent. Who steps up and fills that second and third spot? Tight end. The entire depth chart is open.
Yep.
Don't know. And Schott, the transfer from Miami, he's out for the spring after having labrum surgery. So just some shuffling there. I think offensive line's another one that we think we have a pretty good idea, but there's a couple of open spots there as well. So those
and Carter Smith was seen in a sling as well.
Right.
So he's a guy who probably doesn't need spring practice. I mean, you need the reps to stay sharp, and you'd like him to physically be ready and in the weight room and all of that stuff. But it could be a blessing in disguise to go get one of those younger guys some reps in spring practice as you let him get healthier, whatever the injury was. I mean, he was also seen 30 minutes after that without the sling crushing a beer.
Yeah,
so,
and who, speaking of the offensive line, a lot has been made about how big of a leader Pat Coogan was for that unit last year.
Yep.
Who fills that void? Who fills that leadership void? Carter Smith has said before, and the coaches have said it, he's not a very vocal guy. It does not come naturally to him to take that role. Is it Joe Bruner that comes from Wisconsin and immediately fills that vacuum like Pat Coogan did as a transfer? Maybe. Is it a veteran like Bray Lynch? Or is it Carter Smith that takes the leadership role, even if he's not necessarily comfortable as a vocal leader, that takes it? That's something that's going to play out as spring training gets underway for them. You're right. Carter Smith does not need the reps, but I do think it's going to be a little bit detrimental to the unit as a whole to not have him out there, just because you'd like to get, with those new pieces, a Johnny now is what we assume is going to be a full-time starter. Joe Bruner in there, Bray Lynch sliding over to center, we assume. So it would be good to be able to have that cohesive kind of bond between the 5 guys that will be out there getting those reps. But, if you're injured, you're injured. You can't do anything about that. Obviously, the most important thing for Smith and for the offensive line is to get him healthy. So but I think the leadership among that offensive line, who steps up there? The same thing can be said for linebacker, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, the linebacker, a little bit just because.
Right. It's probably Jones and Hardy as the leaders.
Yep.
That would make sense. But still, without Fisher, that's a big voice gone from that room.
Yeah, it is. But they played a lot together at the same time. And then how does Caden Turner fit into that room? And then who's behind it? And you have the future of that room is going to be in for spring too, with Jacob Savage, Jaden Williams, and the third guy I'm missing. He's another good Henry Ollinger. Yeah. Those 3 guys are the future at linebacker. Can they get those reps? And you want reps of Isaiah Jones with the green dot as that leader, getting used to making the calls and stuff like that. But a guy like Jaden Williams could be one of those special freshmen who don't redshirt, who play special teams. And the redshirt rule changed this year. You could play up to 9 games. So it's really getting. They just need to stop beating around the bush and just go 5 years to play 5.
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of you could play 3/4 of the year and get the year back. Just 5 for 5.
Yeah.
My storyline going in, and one we haven't talked about, TJ, is Josh Hoover.
Right.
Coming in on 3 rated him as the top transfer quarterback coming in, and he gives you hope that you could continue this, making the college football playoff success next year. We need to look. Fernando Mendoza did not light up the world at spring practice last year, and knowing Signetti's practice habit, he broke down to the foundation and is going to rebuild again, because that's what he did after 2024. They broke it down to the foundation. They just built a new house. What I want to see from Hoover is, can he take care of the ball? His interception numbers have gone up every year at TCU. That will not play at IU. And if he's turning the ball over, you don't have much to go back on. You have Tyler Cherry coming in, who has no experience playing. You have Grant Wilson, who came back, who's, what is he, a 7th-year guy, 6th-year guy? He's an old guy. We'll just put it as that. He's an old guy.
Coach on the field.
Yeah, coach on the field. Is he a quarterback who's going to come in and replace the production of Josh Hoover if he struggles? Probably not. And then you have a lot of unknowns. So what I want to see from Hoover, can he take the coaching he's going to get from Signetti and Sinceri? Because neither Rourke nor Mendoza really threw the ball into harm's way all that much. I mean, Rourke a little bit, but he was also throwing with one thumb. And then Mendoza only had 6 interceptions on the year. You cannot have 13 interceptions and have the season that IU had last year.
Right.
So I want to see how Hoover does against his defense, and I want to see how his his relationship with these receivers. IU has some really good receivers.
Yeah,
and if you went on, I hate going back to high school ratings as like the crutch to fall on them. Well, there's more talent on paper. But you're losing 2 NFL draft picks in Cooper and Surratt, but you're bringing in a potential first-round draft pick with Nick Marsh, and Charlie Becker is an NFL draft pick in the future. Shaz Preston's pretty good. Tyler Morris, we'll see how he's recovered. But they had big plans for him before his knee injury. So how does this new group of receivers mesh with that quarterback? And then, like you said, it's going to be a hunt for complacency. You've gone from the biggest underdog in the history of the sport to now you're the king of the hill.
Yeah.
At least for this year. What are you going to do to fight that complacency? Because even in 2025, going into 2025, you had that, man, we just weren't good enough. This is what we need to do to get over the hump. Well, there was no more hump. You went 16-0, and I know people, they could have been better. No, you went 16-0 and had the best possible season that you could have, that people are arguing is the best season ever. So, you're dealing with young people, and how do you fight that complacency of, we did this last year, and you kind of fight that complacency. So I want to see that. That's going to be tough to tell in the spring. But maybe if you see practices and coaches are coaching hard, which is a standard, and just living up to that Cignetti standard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, real quick, you mentioned Tyler Cherry. I think that's something to watch. He's a guy that came in as a well-regarded prospect from Center Grove. I think a lot of recruiting analysts and the coaching staff for Tom Allen high on him, and they were able to – he was originally committed to Duke. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was originally committed to Duke. I think when that staff went to Texas A&M, he decommitted or committed to IU before they – like the writing was on the wall that Elko was gone.
Yeah.
And that staff was gone. And then so he comes to IU, highly regarded recruit.
Yeah.
You figured he was going to be the guy this year if he had not gotten hurt.
Probably so.
Gets hurt in prep for Notre Dame. Apparently, the devastating injury. There were a lot of rumors that, it was kind of shocking that he actually could still play football. But he was on the sideline coaching as a student coach, and a real brilliant roster move. They got the year back for him.
Gray shirt, I believe it was, right? A gray shirt.
Yeah, whatever old school terminology. The old gray shirt rule.
Yeah.
And then, you saw him on the sideline. He's coaching up Mendoza, and Mendoza's actually listening to him. And I don't know if that speaks more to Cherry or more to Mendoza, but right. Cherry's, they have the iPad or whatever tablet they have on the sideline, and they're going through plays. So he got that part of the game down. He should be very good at the processing part of the game. Can he physically come back and play? We'll see. 6'5", 220. Physically has the look that you want. In high school, he had a fantastic arm. Mobile enough. I would say mobile in the Curtis Rourke pre-injury vein, where capable of making plays with his legs if the play breaks down. Not somebody you were looking at, okay, we're going to, call up a zone read for him and have him keep it very often. But intriguing prospect that if he can show you good stuff in the spring, he's a guy that you'd look to get some snaps in those early season games if your offense is clicking the way you want and you've got a nice lead, to get him snaps in the third and fourth quarter and kind of see what you got. It's spring for him. Yeah, I think that's what you got to do. Yeah, his mobility is somewhere between Antoine Randall, Fernando Mendoza, who's right up there at Antoine Randall on mobile quarterbacks, and IU and Nate Sudfeld. He's in that spectrum of quarterback mobility. We'll see how he comes back from injury, but you're right. Can he be somebody you can put stock into? Because Hoover's gone after this year.
Yep.
And you really don't have a lot. Hoover and Grant are gone. Wilson are gone. So
Yep.
you don't have a ton of experience there. You're probably going to hit the portal again. You do have Jamison Purcell coming in as a true freshman who's a 4-star recruit.
Yep.
There are rumors that Ole Miss commit is looking to back out, or he did back. He got out of his national letter of intent, and
Right.
IU's looking to jump in on that. It just doesn't make sense to me to have 2 freshmen in the 2027 class. But whatever. But if you could have Tyler Cherry as that veteran guy with some experience, kind of what Alberto was supposed to be,
Yep.
it makes your offseason a little bit better to where, hey, we could go get another quarterback, have a competition in the spring and see which one beats him out, and then build the room out from there. So yeah, Tyler Cherry is something big thing to watch this spring if we get to see practice. What else are we looking for in spring ball? I mean, we won't see special teams in the spring game.
Yeah.
Never get to see special teams at practice, but I assume Nico Radicic looks good on extra points and field goals. You have a couple new guys coming in for kickoff and punter. Defensive line is rebuilt. Again, it's spring practice. It's tough to see because they don't do a ton of hitting, and you're not going to expose your guys to that coming off a 16-game season. The last thing you need is an injury in spring practice. Any final thoughts on what we're looking for?
I think the only kind of position that we haven't mentioned, and it's very difficult to get a look at what they're doing without tackling, but just make sure that BBB looks good. Moving around, he should be 100% ready to roll. Make sure that he looks good. And then Kobe Martin and Turbo Richard, your expected top 3. And then to get a peek at Sean Cuono, see how he's progressing. And J-Ron Campbell is on campus and will participate in the spring, freshman running back from Georgia. So just get a look at the running back room and see if you're, as comfortable as you think you're going to be with that starting 3 and the depth that you've got behind it. It looks like a great group on paper. No concerns there, but it'll be good to see, especially BB out there looking healthy, hopefully.
Yeah, and see who else has these off-season surgeries to correct something minor that may be held out. We'll see. There's been no official announcement there. What we expect to see in a Kirk Cignetti practice session, spring practice season. This is his 3rd spring in Bloomington, so we kind of know what to expect and what to see, TJ. He will not use all his practices, and the spring game, which he said was April 23rd, while he was on that podcast, the Triple Option podcast with Urban, those guys, you expect to see a half of like full go football, and that's about it. That's been the last 2 spring games. They'll do a warm up, which was kind of like a walkthrough practice, and then they'll do a scrimmage, and then hopefully the weather's nice. And it turns out that the day of the spring game is also the day of the first round of the NFL draft. And I'm wondering if I were in charge, I would have, it's on a Thursday. Yeah, I would have the spring game wrapped up by whenever the first pick is going to be made, whether that's 8:15, 8 o'clock, whatever. The old 8 o'clock, but it doesn't really start till 8:15. Have it wrapped up. Watch your guy get drafted with the fans in the stands and create that kind of atmosphere and do something cool to where people stay to the end of the spring game too. But that's what I would do. And then, that's what to expect. You're not going to see anything earth shattering. You're going to see the foundation being laid, and that's what he's done the last 2 years, and I assume that's what he's done his entire career as a head coach. Is you lay that new foundation every year, and it starts in Well, it starts in winter conditioning, but we get to see it as it goes on for spring practice.
Yep. And obviously, if you're Kurt Signetti, you would look at your plan and you would say, well, why on earth would I change anything?
Correct.
Right? I mean, it is obviously working, so you keep on doing it. In a word, efficiency.
Yes.
Efficient practices, efficient getting work done, efficient keeping guys healthy.
Yep.
I think that's the name of the game during spring practice is efficiency. And part of efficiency means that the things you want to accomplish are getting accomplished.
Yep.
So I think that's what to expect. And it would be a surprise if it's anything different than that. It's certainly not going to be the, sexiest, most fun. It's not going to be a, carnival-like atmosphere like Lane Kiffin did, where it resembles a elementary school field day out there with some
I hated field day.
on a Nerf goal and like a water balloon fight or whatever the heck they did, that clown show. It's going to be football at the spring game, but have your expectations set. It's not going to be 60 minutes of super high intensity, pounding each other. It's going to be smart, efficient, one half with some walkthrough there. And I think you're right. Get that done. Watch Fernando get drafted at number 1 and, have kind of one more little final celebration, right? Final celebration before moving forward.
I think it's a great recruiting tool too. You're going to have guys on campus. And how awesome would it be, hey, man, at our spring game, we're going to have the NFL draft on the big screen, and our guy is getting taken number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And then before those recruits leave campus, you would hope that a second Hoosier has been drafted, depending on, when they take off. If keep around for a couple hours, they might be able to let them know, hey, by the way.
You have the NFL draft playing throughout the facility going, oh, hey, Omar Cooper just got taken. Or, hey, Elijah Surratt got taken. Riley Nowakowski's going to the Steelers and will be an all-pro, fullback tight end there who, nobody ever – actually, he won't get drafted. That's an undrafted free agent Steelers pickup that goes to the NFL Hall of Fame. Or, hey, Aiden Fisher just got taken in the 4th or 5th round. D'Angelo Pons went in the 1st round. How about that? How about you could come to IU and we'll get you drafted? So I do think IU can do stuff with that. From the fans' perspective, I really, really hope that the athletics department can put something good together. Kirk Signetti is going to do what Kirk Signetti does, which is a highly efficient machine on the football field. But that doesn't mean you can't have, the jersey making machine. You can't roll out the trophies from last year. Again, you don't want it to make it like a middle school field day, but you can make it a family-friendly event on a Thursday evening with hopefully nice weather where, tickets are getting more expensive for people. This is a chance to come see this team and not spend a gazillion dollars. Tickets went up again, and that's what I think IU needs to realize. Go sell your season tickets at this, whatever, make your money, but also realize that you're pricing out some fans and that this is maybe their only opportunity to go see this team. And they want the concession stands. They want the chance to go buy gear. They want to see the trophies. They want to maybe invite some of the players back and do an autograph session and stuff like that. I just think that winning comes at a cost, and you try to negate that cost as much as possible. The spring game is one way to do that. It's to get those local people who didn't get to travel to the Rose Bowl or the Peach Bowl or the National Championship because it costs an arm and a leg, who may have lost their season tickets because you up the price a couple $100 per seat with this donation. And it's fine. That's what you do, and that's the cost of winning. But you cannot alienate your loyal fan base. And that's not only a picture for IU, it's a big picture for college football in general, too.
Yep. Every school is dealing with this problem of each year you are asking, you being the school, are asking more and more of your fan base.
Yep.
You are asking, help support our athletes by donating to NIL. Help support our athletic program by continuing to pay these escalating ticket prices. Help support us by paying these seat licenses.
Now there's a parking donation too, a mandatory $14 parking donation per thing.
It's you are every season that passes, and this is not, as you mentioned, this is not an IU only problem. It is across the country. Every school is demanding more of their fan base in order to try and stay competitive. Every single school. While at the same time reducing the access that you have to the players, reducing the access that you often get to coaches, and reducing what the events like the spring game are. They're reducing those things. Those things are going away at several places that will not have a spring game. They might have some, hey, meet and greet with the athlete, or come watch us practice for half an hour. But you're losing that. You're running the risk of losing that connective tissue.
Yep.
That helps make the fan base what it is.
Yep.
And this is an event that, if done correctly, can still play a big part in bringing people together for a low cost, concessions or the gas to travel there, right? For a comparatively low cost to your regular season games, or God forbid your postseason games, the cost of those. So I do think it still plays a big role in kind of attracting fans to your program and helping them stay connected.
Yeah, you're talking about spending maybe $100 for a family of four with concessions and gas, although who the hell knows what the gas prices are going to be in April.
Right.
But, it's more of a relaxed atmosphere, more kid-friendly. You're going to bring, you're not spending $200 on a ticket to where you could go, oh, man, it's 7:30. Johnny's tired. It's time to go. Or the weather's bad, and we can't hang on any longer. Let's hit the car and, we'll read the recap on Hoosier Huddle. But yeah, it's a bigger problem than just IU. And I think a lot of people are looking at it short-sightedly. Go back to see what happened with NASCAR when they pulled races from places that had held races for 60, 70 years and alienated their loyal fan base because they thought, hey, these guys will never leave. Well, Indiana has 25, 30,000 loyal fans who they think will never leave because they haven't left yet. They stuck it through all this crap. But guess what? You're going to start pricing them out. And once the diehards figure out that they could survive a Saturday without being at Memorial Stadium, it's over. It's over. They're not coming back. You know what? I've been doing this for 30 years. I'd rather take the $3,000 that we pay for season tickets and go to whatever vacation and, either watch the game at home or do something else. So you're running the risks there by raising these prices. But yeah, this is a time to reward your loyal fans, not milk them for more money. You offer things that they want to buy, sure, but you're not charging ticket prices, and you're giving them something that, hey, we want to go to the spring game every year. We want to see Hoosier the Bison. We want to see Josh Hoover. We want to see all these guys. We want to see what this team might look like in the fall. And, IU actually does a decent job of doing the access with the collectives, having the Kirk Signetti podcast with Pete Yonkman and a couple of the players that other schools might not do. But yeah, you gotta reward the fans. You can't just, hey, we're good now, we're gonna jack up the prices 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Because at some point you're coming back down to earth. Now it might not be 2-10, 1-11, or whatever, but you'll fall back to 8, 9 wins and stuff like that. That's just how sports work. And all these people who are just in it because IU's winning are going to go away, and the loyal fan base that you kind of priced out is going to be like, hey, spent the last 2 years watching from home. I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah. Yep. I think
let's end on something positive, TJ.
Yeah.
Go ahead. And one positive thing about IU football heading into the spring, besides being defending national title.
Yeah, I think a positive thing is that you were able to, well, we could talk about a lot of different parts of the transfer portal class. I'll pick out one that we briefly mentioned, but not completely yet. I think that the just physical profile in terms of athleticism and speed and raw talent at defensive end or edge rusher has been upgraded a little bit. That doesn't mean that the production is going to match, right? We don't know that yet, but just the raw physical talent and speed and athleticism at those particular positions on the edge to rush the quarterback has been upgraded, and I am very excited to see what Bryant Haynes can do with the edge rushers he brought in from Kansas State, Notre Dame. I think that there's a lot of potential, plus the recruits that they've recruited at that position beginning to mature. And we saw some of that with Daniel Ndukwe at the end of last year, right, where he sort of, you start to see his trajectory take off. And that potential begin to turn into on-field production. So that particular group, I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I mean, and you saw it every time, unfortunately, Kellen Wyatt went down. Then people were like, oh, man, what are the IU going to do? Well, Stephen Daly came in and led the Big Ten in tackles for losses, playing, half a season. He unfortunately gets hurt in the most unfortunate way. He goes out. You go, there goes the playoff chances. You lost your best edge rusher, best defensive lineman. Well, then Daniel Ndukwe comes in, makes some plays against Alabama, dominates against Oregon, and then makes some plays against Miami. And you're like, okay, where's this guy been? He's been playing on special teams all year. But the spring is a great time to see what those guys can do and how they mesh. And, we all picked Charlie Becker, I think, as the easy breakout star last year. It was almost too easy where I said nobody could pick Charlie Becker. Yeah. And you saw him in the spring game. You saw him on special teams, and that's where I think fans need to look. Another positive, TJ, is you kept the coaching staff intact for the most part, outside of Derek Owens and outside of Chandler Whitmer, who went back to the NFL. You bring back Tino Sinceri, so you're not bringing in somebody new who needs to learn the system. And then the new strength coach, Tyson, what's his last name? Tyson Brown. Tyson Brown knows what he's doing as well. Knows Sig, has worked with Sig before, even briefly, so knows the standard. And then the biggest ones, you kept Mike Shanahan and you kept Brian Haynes, who won the Broyles
right.
Award. Now, I don't know how long that they're going to keep this group together, because eventually a Power 4 program is going to come for one of them. But Indiana has reinvested into the staff. Brian Haynes is getting, what, 3.1, something like that, $3 million or more. Kirk Signetti's total compensation is like $13.1 million. And Mike Shanahan re-upped his deal too. So it's not, if they leave IU, it's because they got a head coaching job at a Power 4 conference and they
That's
need
right.
to take it. They're not leaving because somebody's going to pay them more. Look, if somebody wants to pay Brian Haynes $6 million to be the defensive coordinator, go ahead. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Maybe, but I don't think that's going to happen. So that's, I think, one of the wins that you could hang your hat on, that, hey, this standard is not changing. We're running it back with the same coaching staff, and this coaching staff has proven that they could take the people on their roster, plug them in to some potential holes. You saw it with Becker when Surratt and Omar Cooper kind of went down for a few games, and E.J. Williams went down for a game or two. And then you saw it with the defensive ends, and even at linebacker with Caden Turner coming in for Aiden Fisher against Maryland. Unfortunately, Caden Turner got hurt that game after a great play. But they know how to prep people to just, hey, go out there and play. And we forgot the Iowa game too, TJ, when they had to redo the whole defensive game plan because D'Angelo Pons tweaked an ankle late in the week, and Rylan Gandy comes off the bench and is taking the calls from the sideline for the secondary, and they hold Iowa to, what was it, 10 points, 15 points, something like that. It was 20 to 15. So 13
15
points. 13 points without the Fernando safety that cooked everybody's bets. It's every time they've put somebody in there, they've lived up to, doing their job. And I think that's something that goes unspoken about.
Yeah, it's next man up, right? That's the cliche, but really, it's about having a standard throughout the program, not just for individual players. And we see that time and time again. And it becomes apparent when you have situations like that during the season where guys have to be ready. And in order to be ready, that means they have to be, keyed in during practice, during film session. It can't just be, I was asleep for the whole week, wasn't really paying attention. Oh, you need me? All right, I'm ready. Here we go. No, you've got to be keyed in for the entirety of the week, for the entirety of the season, right? So we've seen it time and time again, and now there's holes to fill. There's talent to fill those holes, and spring practice has started doing that.
Yep. All right, that does it for today's podcast. We'll have our offensive preview coming up soon, defensive preview to follow, with special teams sprinkled in there, spring practice. They haven't announced an official start date, but I believe it'll be March 26th after spring break. We have our position previews from Jamie Jordan going up on the site. We'll have some top 5 and top 10 lists, our top 5 storylines from Nick Gonzalez is up now. And then, whenever news breaks in recruiting, we'll be there. Keep coming back to the site. We appreciate everybody who's joined, not only as a paid subscriber, which is fantastic. We love you guys, but as a free subscriber too. You make the community on the forums great. We have a ton of great threads on the forums that are going up. And then, once basketball season closes out, we'll be full go football and other sports. So keep coming back. HoosierHuddle.com. Follow us on X at Hoosier_Huddle. We're also on Facebook. It's Facebook.com/official Hoosier Huddle. Because that's how the internet works, is somebody grabs Hoosier Huddle in 1997 and it goes away. So keep coming back. We'll also have some March Madness stuff coming out later this week. Keep an eye out for it. A lot of fun contests. And, yeah, it'll be a good time to enter spring ball.